Morning everyone, how are you? Welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with the same revision of the procedural language and today's topic is the functions. How to use functions and why we are using functions. What are the various advantages of using the functions? Yes, in the last class we have finished with the various looping control structure that is used in the C language. Now today's topic is the function, that is how to use the functions. So shall we begin or shall we wait for the others? Yeah, this is something related with the functions and the pointer. Both are related with each other. Okay. All right.
So that is how to use pointers, or what is a function, why we use a functions, how to pass the values between the function, then scoping rule of the function. Scoping rule in the sense what are the various scopes, what are the various scopes that is used with the functions. Then the calling convention. Calling convention in the sense how to use a function that is used as a variable. Then one dicey issue, what is the dicey issue, how to use a function, and why we are using the function, what is the main advantage of using the functions. Then advanced feature of the function that includes the function declaration, that includes a prototype. Then what is the call by value, or what is the difference between the call by value and the call by reference methods. Then introduction to the pointer, what is the pointer, why we are using the pointer, and what are the various functions, what are the various operations that is performed using the pointer. That may be a pointer arithmetic, that may be addition, subtraction, division, whatever we want with the pointers. Then next one is a conclusion, that is back to the function call, how to use a function that is available with the function definition. Then what are the various functions that is, or what are the various functions that is used in the library also. So the function, what is the function, that is a self-contained block of statement that can perform a coherent means a repetitive task of some kind, so that is performed for some kind. Every C program can be thought of as collection of these functions. As we noted earlier, using a function is something like hiring a person to do a specific job for you. That means doing a job for a specific purpose. So as we noted, you said the function is hiring a person to do a specific job, because this is a requirement. That means you are performing a function, you are doing the function, that means a sub part of the program, or we can say the sub program. So if you use the program, that is a sub program of the executive task. When you want it to be done, you go to the service station and say it is a time, do it now. You need to give the instruction because the mechanics know his job. You need to told the job when the job is done. You assume that the bike will be serviced in the usual way. The mechanics does this, and that's that. That is also what is a function that is already, it is a sub part of the program that is done with the respect of the confirmation. Now, let's see what is a function. This is the main function. This is a message, print, then message. This is a print. So this is a function. We can say this is the main function. This is the message function. This is a semicolon. That means a function calling. So there are two parts of the function also. We can call the function. We can define the function. So this semicolon is used for define the function, for call the function. That is used for the semicolon. Then message. This is used for define the function. And this is the output. Sorry, this word smiles with you. Then cry, but you stop this one. So this is the first part, and after this one, because this is the output or message output has this one, then this is the output of this. Here main itself is a function, and through it we are calling the function message. What do we mean when we say that the main function calls a message function? We mean that the control passed to the function message, the activity of the main is temporary, suspended, that is falls asleep, while the message function wakes up and goes to the work. That means message is used out of the statement to execute, and the control returns to the main statement, which comes to life again and begin the executing its code at the exact point where it's left off. That is again using the left off condition, that is the main becomes a calling function where the message becomes a called function. So main, why we are using the calling function, because whenever we are going to draw, whenever we are going to execute a function, we are defining a function, that is a calling a function, and when we are prepared to call one more function, that is a called function. This is the main. Then printf, I am in main, Italy, Brazil, and the Argentina. Then this is the Italy example. Printf, I am in Italy. Then Brazil. Printf, I am in a Brazil. Argentina. Printf, I am in a Argentina. So the output of the following program or the above program when executed would be as under. I'm in main. I'm in Italy. I'm in Brazil. I'm in Argentina. From this program, a number of conclusions can be drawn. Any C program contains at least one function. If a program contains only one function, it must be a main function. This is one of the main points. So any program, any C program contains at least one function. Which one is a function that contains exactly or at least? That is a main function. And if a C program contains more than one function, then one and only one of these functions must be a main. So main is mandatory in simple terms, main is used mandatory in the C program. Without main function, nothing is available or nothing will do. And there is no limit that how many functions we are limited, how many functions we are putting up in a C program. So there's no limit on the number of functions that might be present in a C program. And each function in the program is called the sequence or is called in a sequence specified by the function in the main function. Because, for example, in the main function, for example, the first one is addition, then the definition of addition will come. Second function is the subtraction, then we can say the definition of the subtraction is so. Each function is known as a sequence specified by the function calls in the main program. And after each function has done its string, control returns to the main function, and when main runs out of the function call, the program ends. And we have noted earlier in the program execution always begin with the main, and this is used for the C function that enjoy a state of the perfect quality or equality. No precedence, no priority, nobody is nobody's boss. And one function can call the another function it has already called but has in the meantime left temporary in order to call a third function which will sometime known as the called function. This is the main. Then printf I am in the main, then Italy, printf I am finally back in the main. This is the we can say the definition of the Italy. I am in Italy, then Brazil. This is the definition of the Brazil. Then this is the Argentina. So first of all, it is going to the main, then printf I am in the main, then Italy. This will printed I am in Italy, then Brazil I am in a Brazil, then Argentina I am in a Argentina. This is available like this one. I am in main, Italy, Brazil, Argentina, back in Italy, and finally back in the main because these lines are given over here. I am finally back in this one, then back in the Italy. A main function calls other function which in turn calls still other function that is traced carefully when the control passes from one function to the another. And since the computer or the compiler always begin with the program execution with the main function, every function in the program must be called directly or indirectly by the main function that drives other functions also. Now let us summarize what we have learned so far. C program is a collection of one or more function. Now when a function gets called, when the function name is followed by a semicolon. So whenever we are following the function, so when a function is called, when it is followed by the semicolon. For example, this is the main, then Argentina, this is a semicolon that is available, and a function is defined when a function name is followed by a pair of the braces in which one or more statements may be present. So this is defined whenever there is a function that is used with the curly braces that is used with the semicolon. So this is the statement 1, 2, and 3. These are the three statements that is available in this one. And any function can be called from any other function. Even main can be called from another function also. For example, main message printf can't imagine life without the C, and then pin can be called a number of times. Then this is a message 1, message 2 that is available over here. Now, why we are using the function? What is the advantage of using the functions? So why we are using function, or why we use a separate function at all? Why not squeeze the entire logic into the one function main? Now, Writing the functions also avoids the rewriting the same code over and over. That means if I write the function, that also avoids the rewriting the same code again and again. And suppose you have a section of the code in your program that calculates the area of a triangle, and if later in the program you want to calculate the area of a different triangle, so you don't want to, like, if you are required to write the same instruction all over again, and instead you would prefer to jump to a section of the code that calculates the area and then jump back to the place from where you let stop. And this section of the code is nothing but a function. So when we use the function, it becomes easier to write the programs and keep track of what they are doing or what you are interested in. And if the operations of a program can be divided into two separate activity, and if each activity is placed and divided into two separate activities, each activity that is operated, each activity that is placed in a different function, then each could be written and checked more or less independently, and we separate the code into the modular function also makes the program easier to design and understand. Now, what is the moral of the story? Don't try to cram the entire logic in one function. It's very bad style of programming. Instead, break a program into the smaller unit and like the program or write the function for each of the isolated subdivisions, and don't hesitate to write the program or function that are called only one place. What is important is that these functions perform the same same logic of the isolated task. Now, how to pass the values between the functions. That means how to pass the values among the functions. There are two parts of passing the values. One is a call by value, one is a call by reference. So call by value means we are passing only the values. In the call by reference, we are passing the reference. That means the address, not the values. In the function that we have used, have not been very flexible, and we call them and do not what they are designed to do. Like our mechanic who always service a motorbike in exactly the same way, but have been able to influence the function in the how to carry out the task with the function. There are two functions that is used, and there are argument that is also available in this one. One is a printf, one is a scanf function, that the format string and the list of variable used inside the parentheses in these functions are the argument. And the argument is sometimes known as a parameters also. One is a function, that is a function name. Within the parenthesis, within the bracket, that is known as the arguments. This is the main function that is available. So there is the main. We receive the values of the A, B, C, and C. So the keyboard, and then output the sum of A, B, and C. However, the calculation of sum is different or done in the different function, that is a cal sum. And this is calculating in cal sum, and the values of A, B, C, and receive in the main. Then we must pass on to the these value to cal sum, and once cal sum calculates the sum, we must return it from the cal sum back to the main. So we return from the cal sum to the main function. This is sending and receiving the values between the function. This is the main. Then int abc sum, then scanf, enter any three numbers. So enter any three numbers over here. This is d, then ab and c. This is sum equals to cal sum abc. This is the function definition of the function calling. We are calling the function with the cal sum, then it is going to the sum. It is we can say converted, but is storing in the sum variable. This is the printf sum. Now, whatever the output of the sum, whatever the sum output that is printed over here, then cal sum xyz int xyz in d. Now, what is the d value? That is equals to the xy and the z. Now return the d. This is one of the main functions that is available, and there are multiple programs, so there are multiple methods. What is why we are using the functions? So why we use using the return function over here? So on executing the return statement, it automatically transfers the control back to the calling function or the calling program. That means whenever we are executing the program, whenever we are using the return statement, it immediately transfers the control back to the calling program. It immediately control back means it immediately goes to the calling program of this one. And it returns the values present in the parenthesis after return to the calling function. In the above program, the values of the sum of three numbers has been returned, that is x, y, and z, that is stored in the D. This is also one of the examples. This is return the CH, and this is the return CH plus 32. That is the return statement will be executed depending on whether CH is capital or not. And whenever the control returns from a function, some values is definitely returned. And if a meaningful value is returned, then it must be or it should be accepted in the calling program by equating the called function to some variables. Then sum equals to cal sum ABC. This is also one of the function that is presented, that is used as a So the function name is used as a calsum, and the three variables or three arguments are used, A, B, S, C, and the output. Whatsoever the output of the calsum that will be going into that will be stored in the sum variable. And all the following are the valid return statement. This is return A, then 23, this one. So either we can use the variables, either we can use the variable in the int type, either we can use the integer value, float value, whatever we are returning for this one. And in the last statement, a garbage value is returned to the calling function since we are not returning any specific value. Note that in this case, the parentheses of the return are dropped. And if we want that the called function should not return any value, in that case, we must mention sudo so by using the keyword void as shown below. This is void display, this is printf, then printf heads I win, tails you lose. The next one is a function can also return only one value at a time, and if the value of the formal argument is changed in the called function, the corresponding change does not take place in the calling function. Now, what are the various scope rules of the function? That is, what are the various rules that we follow? What is the scope? That means if I using the semicolon, then what are the various areas it is going into the functions area? That is scope rules of the function. Now, if we look at the following program, if we look at the program, this is one of the programs. This is the main int I equals 20 display int ij or int j. This is k equals to 35, then printf. Now, calling convention, there are two parts in which it is called. So argument must be passed from the left to the right or the right to the left. Now, C language uses the second order, that is from the right to the left. This is coming from the right, then goes to the left. This is fun. A, B, C, D. This is A plus plus, A plus plus. This is 1, 2, 3 that is printed over here. Now, one dicey issue, this is available in this one. This is string that the above function gets successfully compiled even though there is a mismatch in the format specifiers and the variable in the list. This is because printf uses accept the variable number of arguments that is used, sometimes 2, 3, whatever the argument that is used. Now, these are the advanced feature of the functions. One is the functions definition, function declaration, prototype. One is the calling functions by the value or the name. And then last one is a recursion. That means using the same function or calling the same function again and again. So function declaration, the prototype means how to declare the function, how to call the function, and what are the various definitions that is used over here. This is one of the example of the function declaration. This is the function declaration, and this is the function definition. Now this is the call by value and call by reference. We are passing the values over here, A, B, C, then this is the vector. Now this is the pointer, that means we are passing the values by passing the reference, that is a address. Now this is one of the example of the variable name. This name we can print the value by using the printf, then functions ij, then 3655524, this is 65522, then this is another variable name. Now, this is back to the function call, how we are using the function call. What is the demand of the function call that is available over here? This is a conclusion. If I want to change the name of the function variable, that is not possible with the changes. This is a recursion function, that means using the same program or using the same function again and again for the calling function. Now recursion in the stack, that is also used. There are different ways in which the data is organized, that is organized in the stack. Now adding the functions to the library, we are also using the functions as a library to the library. So the library that contains the predefined function. This is a library that is adding the functions to the library. Write the function definition of the factorial in the sum file, that's say fact.c, that is used for this. Then factorial is also used in the header file, say fact.h. The fact.h, that is the header file that is included in this one. Then compile and execute the program using Ctrl plus F9. That is used with the factorial, then prime, then Fibonacci. Define the functions factorial, prime, Fibonacci in the file. Say myfunctions.c. Do not define the main in this file. That is used with the application, that is used with the definition, factorial, prime, Fibonacci series in this. Now this is a summary. So to avoid the repetition of the code and the bulky program, functionally related program are used in the functions, and the function declarations specify what is the return type of the function and the type of the parameter it accepts. Then function definition also defines the body of the function, and this is also used in the function that are not available to our other function in the program. So there won't be any clash even if we give the names to the variable that is declared in different function. And the pointers are the variable which holds addresses of other variables also, and that can be either, or the function can be used either by the call by value or the call by reference, and pointers can be used to make up any doubt over here. That is, pointer can be, or function can be used either call by value or call by reference, no doubt. So pointers can be used to make a function return more than one value simultaneously. Then recursion is also very difficult to understand, because how to use the same program, or how to understand, or how to call the same program or the same function again and again. So recursion is very difficult to understand, but in some cases offer a better solution for the recursion. And adding too many functions and calling them frequently may slow down the program execution. So whenever we add more functions, or whenever we add more functions, that is too many functions, and calling them frequently may also slows down the system.